Peace, peace, everybody. So, Goon, I'm back with the Black Fathers Academy. So, I've been having some issues. I've actually I did a video yesterday that was supposed to have been up. I did it outside, and when I look back at it, the volume, it was windy, sound quality was like very bad. So I decided to take that one down. But anyway, to get right into it, today's topic is the importance of being an involved father. And what I mean by involved is that you are in you're engaged in the inner workings of the daily maintenance of your child or your children. Especially, this is important, especially for fathers who do not live with their children, even though this can apply to even fathers that do, but especially when you don't live with your children, because stuff can just be moving fast. It could just be a lot of things going on, and sometimes the show will go on. Most of the time, the show will go on without us, and so you find fathers dissatisfied with certain things that are going on with their children, certain decisions that are made, maybe by the child's mother on her own or with her family and things like that. And I believe that we must develop a record of being involved. Um, it's ideal to start with good communication between you and the mother to be able to see how y'all can delegate certain duties and responsibilities and things like that. I'm a firm believer in that. I think we should be having meetings. I have meetings with my children's mother about arrangements that are going on with my children, and sometimes I might see a gap. I might see a need of something that needs to be addressed, and I feel that I take care of that, right? So we don't want to be the type of fathers whereas somebody got to always tell us what we should be doing or what we need to do. We need to be involved to the point that we can start to identify certain problems. Some things you're not going to be able to see, especially if you don't live with your child or the children, right? But we want to be able to be involved, asking enough questions, having a good enough rapport, so that we able to make certain analysis for ourselves and things like that, right? And another thing to understand is that everybody doesn't have good communication with their children's mother, and I understand that some people might have to go to the courts, get some type of visitation rights or certain custodial rights, whether that's joint custody and things like that, or have to go do mediation. Whatever you have to do to be an involved parent. Even if you're at a place in your life you cannot give your child as much as your child needs and deserves because you're in a phase that you really need to get yourself together to address them, start that process. Start that process wherever you're at, because as fathers, we want it to be known that our presence was there, our protection was there, our love, and things like that. And we want to be reliable. We want to be able to be depended upon. We should not be fathers where certain important dates always have to, somebody got to keep reminding us of certain dates that's coming up and things like that. We need to have our own internal setup where when dates and stuff like that, whether it's doctor's appointments and certain things like that, we're putting these notifications out on our calendars, on our phones, because some fathers I have seen is that they just leave certain matters just strictly up to the mother. Now, if you have the type of relationship with the mother, whereas I have my duties and responsibilities right here like this is what I worry about, this is what you worry about. Fine, you have an arrangement. But for a lot of people that have no type of arrangement, it's like we just go as we go along. You want to make sure that you're able to keep up with things for yourself, because sometimes in situations mothers stop depending on the fathers because some fathers do not prove themselves to be reliable as far as keeping up with things, right? So if there are fathers that are watching this, we want to mature, we want to grow out of those things, we want to learn how to be involved fathers. And we need to be about the business of getting whatever the necessary healing is that we need that will allow us to become better fathers. Whether that is having a brotherhood, therapy, being able to revisit some things in our past and getting clarity about where we're going, where we stand currently in our lives. Because the better we do for ourselves, the more we're able to show up for ourselves in a healthy way, the better we're going to be for our children. But it makes a difference when you are involved. It also gives your children, son or daughter, a frame of reference of what manhood looks like, because that gives your son something to emulate when you were an involved father. It gives your daughter a frame of reference of the type of man that she needs to be looking for and what type of business should he be about. We don't want to be fathers that's far removed from everything. And sometimes I understand you might could get friction by being involved. And sometimes that's just what we have to sacrifice, that friction, being involved in that friction. Not saying we have to be combative with it, but we sometimes will encounter friction depending on who we're dealing with, what's the history between us and the other child's parent or family. Those things can come along with it, but that becomes just part of the sacrifice. So that's why we have to maintain a healthy space, just period in life, because you never know what's coming your way anyway. you know I don't know what's going to happen in my day 3-4 hours from now. If somebody might do something or say something to piss me off, but I've done the necessary work today, as I will do tomorrow and follow, and so on, to keep myself in check so that I'm able to behave and respond in a healthy way. Not saying that I'm perfect and that I can't have an off day or an off moment, but I am steadily challenging myself and healing so that I'm able to respond to things in a logical manner that is conducive to my survival and also for the maintenance of my children. And that's something that's very key about us as being involved fathers. Is It's a position that you don't want to do anything to remove yourself from it, in terms of getting in unnecessary conflict with other people, doing things that risk your freedom, your mobility in society, or even your life. So we take our positions very, very serious. And so with that seriousness, we move a certain way, we communicate a certain way with people, and we set boundaries a certain way so that we're able to honor our responsibilities. But overall, our involvement is very, very much needed. Um, it can do a lot for the family, when you are really, really, truly involved. And I understand our involvement do not look the same. Like I said, everybody has different arrangements where some people live with their children, some people don't, some people are married, some people have horrible relationships to the extent that talking to the other parent, like, you need a third party. Like, whatever you have to do, whatever step by step that is, you know work on those steps to be involved, because I've known some fathers who have had very bad relations with the children's mother, and they have allowed that to be a barrier between them and their children. And if you really treasure, if you really pride yourself in your children, and if you really love them, that will not be a barrier. If you have to go to the courts, you'll go to the courts. You will do what you have to do so that you can have time to be able to be with your children, because they are not going to always be small. I'm telling you now, if there's anybody that's watching, if you have a newborn child or young children, you know, I came into parenting a decade ago, and my son at the time, when we first lived together, my oldest son, you know, he was 10. He just turned 20. And just like really just looking at him now, he's taller than me. I mean, he's a young man with his own thoughts, ideas, and his own way of just how he see life. And it's just amazing to see all of that now from who he was when he was little, jumping on my back. And I've also gotten to see, I have young daughters as well, as far as just seeing their growth processes and stages, but they don't stay young forever. And we don't want to allow so much time to go by to the extent that our children do resent us because we did not involve ourselves. So let's emotionally and spiritually get ourselves together so that we're able to be involved in the way in which we need to. Let's not be hung up on excuses and things like that. Let's start that process, because that is a part of being a man when you are a father. Is being involved, being on the job, being on duty, and not waiting for somebody just to put you on duty. You're on duty because that's your understanding of your manhood, is that you have played a part in helping to bring children in this earth, on this earth, or even if there were children that were not biologically yours, but you've been in their life like they're yours. You have to continue that on, just like myself. 5 children, 2 are biologically mine, 3 are not. And I've said this in other videos. If you've seen them, you would not be able to tell. You would not be able to tell the difference between my biological children and my non-biological children, right? So I'm still committed to that vision of developing them. That doesn't stop. So I just want people, or brothers, particularly my black fathers, to keep that at the front of their heads. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel if you like it. Check out my music at IamPoetDeep.com. Other than that, I will see you in the next video that I make. Should probably be bringing another one real soon. Close up this gap. Have a great day. Let's tap into our power, fathers.